After keeping his word and sentencing the bandits who had taken the fortress, Velmir did not stop. The promise he had made to Denbrie still stood. Every threat had to be dealt with. This time the enemies were not men, they were the dead. An ancient crypt was filled with souls refusing to leave this world, and cursed manuscripts that had to be destroyed. At first, there seemed to be little reason for concern. One by one, Velmir advanced. Every undead received its sentence. Every battle ended the same way, with the Mace of Scadia delivering justice. The threat was familiar. The executioner already knew how to control it. Between battles, Velmir destroyed every cursed manuscript he found. No haste, no hesitation. Step by step, the crypt grew silent until the final sentence arrived. The guardian of the crypt was tougher than the others, but not tough enough. Velmir had faced worse. And when it finally fell, it seemed the mission was over. But the dead had one final surprise. Several of them rushed Velmir at once, one last attempt to prevent the executioner from leaving the crypt alive. It was not enough. Smoke, confusion, and execution after execution. When the final corpse fell, there were no threats left. Another promise fulfilled, another debt settled. And for a moment, Denbrie could breathe a little easier. But Velmir knew his real challenge had yet to begin. Now he would return to Brynn, prepare, gather the equipment he needed, because the next promise would not be against the dead, nor against simple bandits. It would be something Velmir had never faced in Aldor, a Tier 4 threat. And this time, being prepared to keep his word would not be enough. He would have to prove he was ready to survive it. Velmir, the man from Scadia. With the contract in hand, Velmir returned to the camp. It seemed there was no place in Aldor that could escape the Bloodsuckers. The infestation of proselyte nests had reached Denbrie. His next destination was a place known as Brotherly Abode, and this time, Velmir could not afford to be unprepared. He had spent almost all of his gold on equipment. It did not matter. He searched through his storage. He took everything that could be useful, every piece, every resource. Nothing could be left to chance. Then he trained with the quartermaster. He sharpened his movements, prepared his body. Alda gave him a survival beverage. Velmir ate, he rested, and for a few moments, he waited. There was no fear, no arrogance either, only determination. He had given his word. And a man from Scadia does not need anyone to remind him what a promise means. Velmir knew Brotherly Abode would be different, but he was not going there for glory. He was not going there to prove anything. There was simply a threat, and he had promised to eliminate it. That was enough. No hesitation, no excuses. As always, the executioner had arrived. Even Velmir was surprised. He knew this new mace was better than the previous one, but he never expected it to nearly pulverize his enemies like this. The first sentence had been carried out, and the result was clear. This mace was not simply better, it was made for the task ahead. The challenge had only just begun, but it had begun well. Velmir's sentences seemed to be worthy of the place. Velmir knew these enemies could easily kill any mercenary who came unprepared. The Bloodsuckers possessed devastating offensive power, and the deeper he went, the more varied their fighting style became. Underestimating creatures like these would be a mistake that could come at a high price. Velmir knew that. That was why he was not willing to wait. He did not want to find out how much damage they could cause. He did not want to give them the chance to demonstrate their power. His determination was simple: sentence them before they could act. One quick execution, one less enemy, and then the next. That seemed to be Velmir's mentality. Do not allow the danger to grow. Do not allow the enemy to take control. Because against creatures like these, a single mistake could have consequences. And Velmir had not come to Brotherly Abode to make one. As Velmir descended deeper into Brotherly Abode, voices began to echo through the darkness. Whispers, a language Velmir did not recognize. He could not understand what they were saying, but one thing was clear: whatever was down there did not belong among the living. Whatever it was, it would have to be sentenced. Velmir continued his descent, without fear, without hesitation. Although he did not know it yet, this sentence would be a little more complicated than usual. Wow, that was an execution, an intense one. Velmir was surrounded by enemies for almost the entire fight. But even under pressure, he managed to reposition, control them. and execute them. It was not an easy victory, but he accomplished his objective. The Bloodsuckers' ritual had been stopped, and that would change things from this point onward. Their warriors would no longer possess the same power they had before. A significant advantage, an opportunity to keep moving forward. But the sentence was not complete yet. The ritual had been stopped, but the real challenge was still waiting in the depths. The boss. The hardest sentence Velmir had faced to this day. And this time, there would be no room for complacency. Velmir had been doing everything perfectly. He had managed to keep the Bloodsuckers under control, carrying out his sentences before they could react. But that level of control came at a price. The battles were consuming enormous amounts of energy. The concentration required to keep these demons at bay was beginning to take its toll. Velmir kept moving forward. He kept fighting, but the exhaustion was beginning to show. It was not fear. It was not doubt. It was simply the strain of a battle that demanded too much from his body. The executioner was beginning to feel the weight of the fight, and there was still one sentence left, the hardest one of all. And finally, the cult leader was executed. It was a duel that pushed Velmir to his limits. At times, the fight came dangerously close to ending him. But Velmir trusted himself. He knew he still had a potion capable of bringing him back from the brink of death if he suffered a lethal blow. The problem was that the cult leader pushed him even further, but Velmir's word weighed more than any blow his enemy could deliver. He had promised to end this threat, and he would not fall before keeping that promise. He endured, he struck, and he executed. The sentence had been passed. The cult leader was dead. Velmir could have simply collected the loot and left Brotherly Abode, but he knew that would not be the right thing to do. There were still bloodsuckers alive somewhere in the depths, and as long as one of them remained, the nest could rise again. Velmir had not come this far to leave the job unfinished. He would have to find them and sentence them. The Mace had spoken once already, and now Velmir had delivered the next sentence. And once again, Velmir had done it. He had kept his word. With the sentence at Brotherly Abode fulfilled, he had completed every official contract the city of Denbrie had to offer. There were no promises left to fulfill. Velmir's word had been heard, not only in Denbrie, but throughout the regions of Aldor he had crossed. But now, for the first time, no one was telling him where he had to go next, discover which threats were still hiding across its lands, and deliver the judgment of Scadia upon those who deserved it. Because his duty was no longer simply about completing contracts, Velmir had come this far for something more, to help build a world where people could live with a little more peace, a little more stability, a little more balance.